Hey everybody, it's John Halpin. This is Josh Katzowitz with me. Welcome to the Week 5 Thursday edition of Pickwatch Live. We're going to go over all the latest picks, lines, over-unders, whatever. Josh, first up is tonight, Colts and Pats. Colts are going to be without T.Y. Hilton, without Marlon Mack, without Jack Doyle. Pats are probably going to have Rob Gronkowski right now, even though he's been nursing an ankle injury. And they're going to have Julian Edelman back. Point spread's 10, over under 51.5. Looks like a blowout. Is it the blowout it seems to be?
It seems that way. I think so. You know, the Colts were in a tough game last Sunday against the Texans, going to overtime and losing that game. And, there's, mental drainage that needs to happen. And the fact that you only get a couple of days to prepare. It's a Thursday night game. You got to go on the road to New England, one of the tougher places to play in the league against, perennially the best team in the league. Yeah, I don't see how the Colts are going to be even close in this game. It's a tough thing. And missing T.Y. Hilton, he's averaging 14 yards a catch, 2 TDs this year, 21 catches, the team's leading receiver. It's a big loss. Really need Ryan Grant and Eric Ebron to step up, but it's just it's a barrier too high, I think, for Indianapolis to overcome.
Yeah, and without T.Y. Hilton, that's just a mess of a receiving core that the Colts have.
Yeah, and Andrew Luck has been really good, and they are, I think he had 62 attempts last week. That's a ton of attempts for a guy who's coming off, his arm problems. But and it's so funny to watch him after the games because he's obviously so happy to be back in the league, and even when the Colts suck, he's smiling and trying to get through it. And it's I think that there's bigger. There's happy times, I think, on the horizon for Indianapolis. I like what Frank Reich's doing so far. I really like that fourth. He's getting a lot of criticism for that 4th and 5 call late in the game last week. I like him going for it, even though it didn't work out for him.
Come on, that was terrible.
I like the aggressiveness. I like, I talk about this in the Pickwatch column this week with him, and comparing that against what Todd Bowles did in New York, and just kind of waving the white flag there. I think it didn't work out, and they lose the game. A game, it doesn't really matter. Colts aren't going anywhere this year, and I think it instills in the players like a confidence, like, hey, this guy believes in us. Same thing with Tennessee with Mike Vrabel. That one did work out, but I think the fact that these two rookie head coaches are playing this way, I like it. I like going for it and failing as opposed to Todd Bowles saying, "Oh, we're down by 15, we're going to punt."
All right. I generally like aggressiveness too. I just thought that particular case was.
Well, what do you do? So what's a tie bring him?
But your risk was so much greater than your reward in that spot for me. That if he completed the pass to his own 47 with 20 seconds left and no timeouts, now what? Now you got to get 20 more yards and you got no timeouts, and you're still really unlikely to get that done.
Right, and so then you tie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. I think it more so than the game. I really think it has to do with setting a tone and setting the players up for future success. By like I said before, hey, this guy believes in us. Yeah, it was a bad situation down and distance-wise when we were in the field, but he believes in us to get that first down when it matters most. And yeah, we didn't get it, but I still think that's a big confidence booster for that team, even though they end up losing the game.
All right. So you're giving the 10 with the Pats?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. All right. Folks, last week I was 12-3 straight up, 9-4 against the spread. Ooh. Josh was 10-5 straight up, 8-5 against the spread. So right now, when we get the records are a little off because when we pick at different times, sometimes there's pushes, sometimes, like I might get a push and you don't, and vice versa. Against the spread, I'm 33-28, you're 32-28. So it's quite a race we got going here. It's pretty good.
I'll tell you what, man. Yeah, I think so. That puts us in the top 15 overall for against the spread. It's been a tough year, I think, for against the spread, and I think we're both doing pretty well, which I guess leads us to believe that Sean Lowry made the right decision to give us a podcast about it.
Exactly, right? You should listen here because you, me, and Ryan Fowler, who's with me on Tuesday. Ryan's actually ahead of both of us against the spread because he went 12-4 the previous week.
That's hard to do.
So, but yeah, it's he's 35-24. The three of us are all in the top 15. So you're watching the right video show, folks. Except if you were watching Ben Volin or Vic Tafer from the Athletic and Ben from the Boston Globe, they're just killing. They're just every week. They
know the football, that's for sure.
They're doing great. All right, folks, just keep checking out Pickwatch. As Sean always tells me, tweaks all along. The forums comes. Sean, you can comment on the Facebook page. Are the forums ready or not? I'm not quite sure. Sorry, I should have checked that before the show. Right now, when you do the sorting, you know what? I'm going to do the screen share here because I love the screen share. All right. So when I want to sort here now, right this morning, let's say, if we only have 15 people out of the normal 65 haven't made picks, look, I can hide the no pick people and only look at the people who are in. Pretty good, right? Well, that's the people picked. I did it wrong. Hold on. I got to press apply. The apply button's key, Josh. There you go.
I feel like you should have worked this out before we started, John, but that's fine.
No, it's good. Look, we got 21 people in now, so it's good.
Oh, it shows the play. Yeah,
Right? Because a lot of times you look and it says, if you have the default setting, it says no pick for a lot of people on Thursday because people haven't done it yet or we haven't gathered them yet. Now, totally different. So, all right, we're going to get off the screen share and go back to us. Otherwise, just like I said, keep checking all weekend, NFLPickwatch.com for against the spread picks, straight up picks. You can do college picks. You can store your own picks. You have, something like 1,200 people making picks and storing them every week, and you can see those easily. And they're tweaking the interface all the time so that it's easier to see your picks, easier to see others' picks, easier to sort, stuff like that. Lots more coming too at Pickwatch. Okay, let's see what we got now. We're going to get to week 5. Bears and Bucks are off. Jameis next week for the Bucks. Packers Lions. Let's start there. At Detroit, Packers favored by 1.5 over under 51. So basically a toss up. The Lions are getting gashed on the ground. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott ran all over them last week, but he's not the only one. They've been giving they're averaging 157 yards a game on the ground. Packers started running a little better last week when Aaron Jones finally started playing. Packers might be without Geronimo Allison. They're hoping to get Kevin King back their corner, which could make a difference here. This is one of those games where, again, I keep coming back to the Lions. I go, they're at home. I don't think they're this 4-12 kind of team. I think they're just a slightly worse than average. And in this spot at home, I'm still not convinced that Rodgers is – we know he's not 100%. He seems fine, not awesome, but fine. And on the road, I don't know if that's enough for me. I'm going to go with the Lions.
Yeah, no, I'm taking Green Bay. You're right. Aaron Rodgers isn't 100%, but he's playing better than most anybody could expect it from him with any injury like that. He's a gamer, and he'll go out there and he'll continue to be one of the league's best passers. I'm not sure how much that knee injury really is affecting him. What I'm interested in this game is Detroit's pass defense. It's been good this year. They haven't allowed more than 231 yards in a game, and only one quarterback they faced this year has thrown for more than 200 yards. So Aaron Rodgers provides a good test for that. Now they're facing the least amount of passing attempts, so there's probably some correlation there. But I like the way Darius Slay's playing this year at cornerback. I think this is a game that Detroit can win because kind of like you, I don't see them as a 4-12 team. And I think I always overrate them because of Matt Stafford.
Right.
But, I think this is a team that potentially in that division could do some things. They'll have to do it tonight, Sunday against Green Bay. But I could see them potentially win this game. I don't think they will. I think the Packers cover -1.5, but this should be a good game.
All right. So far, we've got, of the 21 people that are in with picks, 21 experts, we have got 59% Lions so far. So, but a long way to go here on that one. And this seems like a toss-up game. That amount of picks could change. Next up, Giants-Panthers. Panthers given 7 to the Giants, over under 44.5. Panthers get Eric Reed. I don't know how much he's going to play. They signed Eric Reed, former 49ers safety. You may know him as the first person who kneeled next to Colin Kaepernick, and that's the reason. He was a Pro Bowl safety. That's the reason why he wasn't on a team till now. Panthers needed a safety. They actually, I think more importantly, they knew the Falcons needed a safety. So they went out and got Eric Reed. And as a football move, whatever you think of the other parts of it, as a football move, looks like a good one. Panthers are going to get Trey Turner back, their Pro Bowl right guard. The Giants, Giants are going to get Olivier Vernon and Eli Apple back, which helps their defense. And the defense looked good last week, even though they gave up a few touchdowns late. I think they were exhausted because they were on the field the whole second half. This offense, and this is, as I talked Tuesday, my Giant fan rant, right? Their offense is hope that Barkley or Beckham run 60 yards when you give them the ball, and that's it. Eli checks down all the time. Even when the pass rush isn't there, he seems to feel it. It's just not good. And before the season, I think with the changes they made, we thought collectively, we thought they were probably a mediocre team, right? Maybe they contend for the playoffs. Maybe they go 8-8. They look terrible. Are they? Do you think they're this terrible?
Yeah, it seems that way. I mean, and a lot of it will depend on Eli Manning and how he's just been not good. I mean, he hasn't been good for really the last couple of years. When the whole joke about whether Eli Manning was an elite quarterback 5 or 6 years ago, I thought he was up there. I don't think he's there anymore. And you're right. He's only averaging 7.2 yards per attempt lot of dump offs, which I think is kind of the offensive game plan, right? I mean, that's what they kind of want to do, except when they're getting the ball to Beckham. It is a lot of it dependent on Saquon Barkley, and he's shown the ability to kind of break out in those big gains. I really, with go back to Eric Reed for a second. I really love the signing, mostly because I really love the players who are protesting, and I think it's a travesty that guys like Reed and guys like Kaepernick had not gotten the opportunity again. And that's probably a topic for another conversation or a topic for another day. But as far as what he can bring as a defensive back, really great versatility from him. A guy who can play coverage, a guy who can really stop the run. I really like that signing in that aspect. And I think I think I saw that somewhere they're planning on starting him. So
right.
It's also because he's a guy who's got support in the league from the players, and in a lot of the same way that Kaepernick does. I think a lot of these guys think that, hey, it's not fair. Maybe they're being blackballed. Maybe there's some collusion going on. We don't know. But I think the players believe that. I think adding Eric Reed, just from a player perspective and saying, hey, this team, whatever you think of his politics, the team knows we need him, and the team is willing to bring him in despite whatever blowback they get from, maybe their conservative fans. I really like that signing.
Yeah, and this is a team that thinks they can win big. I mean, they think they can win. They think they're in the mix. So at some point you look and you're like, all right, we're thin at safety. We got to make this move.
Yeah.
So, I think, he's the type of guy you're right. He's versatile. He can come up and play slot corner. He can hit at safety. He's a good player. And he's going to help that defense. And defense is good already. And I look at this game and I go, all right, the Giants offense is really bad. I mean, Barkley, the poor guy, can't run because he has no help. Beckham gets overthrown when he gets open. It's just it seems like a disaster. And their first 7 games are no help. I think they might go 2-5 or 1-6. I don't see this being a win for the Giants. I'm going to take the Panthers and give the points. You are going to take the points with the Giants, it looks like.
It's a little – I don't know why I feel that. I think the Giants played better last week. I think a touchdown is just a little too much for me, although I can certainly see going with the Panthers here. But I think the Giants will stick around, make it a closer game. I still think the Panthers will win, but I like the Giants +7.
All right. Right now on Pickwatch with the points, 63% of the experts are giving the points with the Panthers, and fan-wise, 73% are giving the points with the Panthers. Next up, Broncos-Jets. This is one of my favorite games here. Jets favored by 1.5, over under 42.5. So we talk about this often. Broncos have a Monday night game, and they have to travel 2/3 of the way across the country. Not the easiest thing in the world. Not the easiest thing to recover from. And they had a tough game on Monday. Their right tackle's hurt. Veltier, I don't know what the status on him is. Keenum just looks bad. I know you're kind of a Keenum guy, right?
I don't know why I am, but yeah, I think from last year, he showed me a lot last year. And it was one of those situations where it was like every week you expected Keenum to be bad, and he wasn't. So now it's like it's the kind of the opposite where he's been pretty bad, and I kind of expect that to stop and for him to be good again.
Right.
I do like their running back duo. Royce Freeman and Philip Lindsay played really well Monday. I like what they do. You're right about the going on the road for after playing Monday night. I think that does play an impact every week. We kind of see that. But the Jets offense is awful. They're on a 3-game losing streak, and they're averaging less than 2 touchdowns a game, 269 total yards per game. Sam Darnold hasn't been quite as good as he was in week 1, obviously. I like the Broncos here, even though it's going to be some tough sledding for them.
Yeah, I like the Jets. It's one of those, they're coming home, and I think their defense is actually okay. And if they can, and the Bronco defense is not what it used to be. It's not bad.
No, but they played pretty well last week for most of the game against Mahomes.
Yeah.
So that, you say, well, Mahomes lit him up in the fourth quarter. Does Darnold have those capabilities to, after he's been shut down for 3 quarters, to then come out and kind of lead a big comeback against this team? I'm not sure that he does. I'm betting that he doesn't.
Okay. I just like the Jets in the home game here. Again, I think they're probably a 6-win team. This looks like one of them because the Broncos seem like a 6-win team too. That's my math right there.
I think the Broncos defense hasn't been great, but I still think there are certainly some components that can make them a really good defense that we maybe haven't seen quite yet.
All right. Right now, so we're on opposite sides of this. It was funny when I went through yours and my picks. Like I think 5 of the first 6 or 7 games we were on the opposite side, and then we sort of lined up a little better.
You know what's scary for me is that so much of my picks are for the road team.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
I got 5 or 6 this week.
it was like when I was doing putting my picks into NFLPickwatch.com, and we talked about last week about how you get to see this really green arrow that goes all the way across the screen to let you really know what it is. It was like it felt like the first 6 or 7 picks that I made were road teams for both straight up and against the spread, and I was like, oh man, this is not what I want to be doing, but I couldn't help it.
Fortune favors the bold, Josh. Right? All right, we've got on Pickwatch the experts so far 56% Jets. The fans, 77% Broncos. So fans are with you. The alleged experts are with me. So we'll see who's right. All right, next up, Falcons Steelers. 57.5. So the Falcons, we've been talking every week. Every week we talk, with the Falcons we go, oh, they lost another guy, right? They lost another defensive player. They lost Keanu Neal, and they lost Deion Jones. And now they lost Grady Jarrett, their nose tackle. This is just it's a mess. They're not going to be able to stop anybody. Every week, I keep wanting to support the Falcons, not in Panther country. I don't like to support the Falcons, but every week I look and I go, they're actually a good team. And they don't play bad. And then another guy gets hurt. And I just like they're star-crossed right now. And they're going into Pittsburgh down 3 or 4 defensive starters against a team that could move the ball pretty darn well. I think it should be a good game, but I mean the 57.5 over under totally warranted in this one, and I think I'm going to pick the Steelers.
Would you go over on this game?
That's a lot. That's a big. If I had to, so 30-27, I'm still under. So I think I'd probably go under. I wouldn't go out of my way to go either way on that one though.
I think what the Ravens did last week to the Steelers was instructive. I mean, I think it shows us that we know the Steelers' defense is terrible, and they're going to have to rely on Big Ben to win games for them. And when he's not playing well like he did last week against the Ravens, they're a team that scores 14 points a game. So I'm not – obviously the Falcons' defense isn't the Ravens' defense, but I'm not sure that – we've seen over and over again this year that the Falcons can score 35, 40 points a game. I'm not sure the Steelers can keep up with that, quite honestly. They can. There's a chance they won't, like we saw last week. Matt Ryan is playing like an MVP. I mean, he's 10 touchdowns, 1 interception the last 3 weeks. The receivers have been awesome. It's funny, Julio Jones leads the league in receiving yards, and Calvin Ridley leads the league in touchdowns and touchdown catches. So, I mean, that kind of firepower and diversity in the wide receiver core is really awesome for the Falcons. It's just a matter of they're going to be in shootouts, and Matt Ryan has to play well every week. And, he's played really well this year so far. So I like the Falcons here.
Okay.
Even on the road. I mean, they're 3-point underdogs.
Right.
This is kind of a theme for me this week where I'm going with the underdogs, but I like the Falcons here.
The one thing I want to ask you about the Steelers, I think the Steelers are going to score on them. And I think this is going to be a shootout. Like I said, 57.5 is a little rich for my blood on the over-under. But does Roethlisberger just look a little off to you? Like you look at it, I mean, we've talked about Eli Manning. He and Eli and Philip Rivers came out the same year. I'm looking at Roethlisberger and I go, they still move the ball. But, the Ravens really, second half, they shut him down. I thought that game was going to change when they came back in the first half to tie it. And then second half, they couldn't do anything. Now, the Ravens defense is really good. But look at Roethlisberger, I go, he's slipping. He looks like he's slipping a bit. He's not bad, but do you see the erosion in him a little bit?
Well, let's see. How old is he? He's 36.
Yeah.
He's been in the league since 2004. He's been in the league for like 14 years. He leads the league in passing yards, so that's not terrible.
Right.
Leads the league in passing yards per game. He's averaging 353 yards per game. He didn't play great last week, obviously, like we kind of talked about. There are stretches for Ben where he goes and you're like, what's going on here? Is he getting too old? So this I don't think this is necessarily it's not something we haven't seen before. There are times when he doesn't play well. Last week I didn't really see much slippage. I mean, he just didn't play well, and there are times when he doesn't play well and that's what happens. I don't see that slippage really. I don't know. I guess you see something different though.
I don't know. I just felt like that maybe I'm just cherry picking and using anecdotal evidence, but I feel like the games I've watched so far, I watched a bunch of the Browns game and I watched the Ravens game, and I go, he's missing more guys than I'm used to. Like I said, it's not a statistical observation. It's sort of a gut observation. I go, it just looks a little, missing more guys than he used to. I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder. We haven't really talked about Le'Veon Bell much in the past couple of weeks, but they would obviously be really well served, I think, to have him back. Connor's been fine. He's not a game changer. You wonder if Bell being back, play action pass, how he protects his quarterback and throwing situations. That's got to be a big thing, right? And I wonder if when they get Bell back, if he says he's going to report in week 7, have him back for the back half of the year, how much that's going to change for Roethlisberger.
Yeah, and it's funny because after the first game, Connor put up huge numbers.
Yeah.
And everybody was kind of, not everybody, but people saying, oh, look, who needs that? Who needs Bell? Running backs are interchangeable. I know I was one of those people. And Connor last few weeks, he's been fine. He's struggling a little. He can catch the ball, which is nice, but yeah, he's certainly not Bell. So it's different. And maybe that's affects Roethlisberger a little bit, right?
And the defense has been terrible. So he's playing from behind. I mean, they give up. I know it wasn't all the defense last week that led them to the 14-0 quick strike lead for the Ravens, but you got to play from behind, and it puts more pressure on you, and blah 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 blah. And but I don't know. I mean, the Browns came back on them in week 1 too, so it's hard to tell.
All right. Devontae Freeman sounds like he's going to be back for the Falcons, by the way. So I've got Steelers, you've got Falcons. On Pickwatch, we have got, let's see here, 68% Steelers from the experts, 54% Falcons from the fans. You and the fans are lining up so far.
I don't know. I don't know if that's probably a good thing. Experts don't really know anything anyway.
You're a man of the people, Josh. That's what it is.
When I run for office, that's what I'm going to base it all. I'm a man of the people.
Yes. Who do you want me to pick? I'm with you. I am totally with you. Ravens Browns in Cleveland. 3-point Ravens by 3. Over under 47 seems high to me. I would have thought this would be viewed as a lower scoring game. And I mean, I know the Browns are different, but the Browns defense is pretty good. Myles Garrett's a ridiculously, it's not just one player. He's an insanely good player. But the rest of their defense is not bad. I know the Raiders lit them up last week, but at home, I don't know. The Ravens have improved on offense, and the improvements in their receiving core have made Flacco look better because people were ready to kick Flacco to the curb and replace him with Lamar Jackson. And Flacco's been solid so far, but I don't know. I think this game might be a little lower scoring than this over-under would suggest.
Yeah, I wonder how much of it has to do with last week and the Browns scoring 42 points, on the road against the Raiders. The Browns' offense hasn't been terrible this year. I can see the point. Maybe the point spread's a little high. Maybe it should be some more in like the 45 range, but I don't mind that over under. You kind of asking, or do you think the Browns are ready to get over the hump this week? And I don't think they are. I don't think they're gonna. I don't think the Ravens are the team they're going to do it against. I mean, I think we've seen some good things from the Browns this year. Obviously, we've seen a lot of good things from the Browns this year. They've been actually pretty solid. But what Baltimore did to Pittsburgh last week was really impressive. I think that was a really impressive game for them. Not just the defense. I mean, what they were doing on offense was just some of these little weird, quirky plays. These little kind of gems that you didn't see coming. I really like that from Baltimore. I think Baltimore is a pretty good team. And if you look at the past, and the Browns have lost 18 of their past 20 games to the Ravens. That's not very good.
Right.
And Joe Flacco has been good. And I wonder, probably a lot of it does have to do with Lamar Jackson and knowing that he's breathing down Flacco's neck. And maybe that's forcing Flacco to play a little better. But, yeah, I think the Ravens are a pretty good team, man.
I do too. I think, you know what? I'm going to ask Sean that over the past, I don't know, we could do this year, last year, we could go over the past few years, that I wonder if I have picked the Browns against the spread more than anyone else that he tracks on Pickwatch. I think it's just I want them to do well. I always go, no, this is it. The Browns are ready to get over the hump here. I did pick the Raiders last week because I thought Baker was going into a tough spot. Baker actually played pretty well. A few turnovers, but they put up 42 points. I'm not going to complain. I'm going to go Browns here. Right now we have got on Pickwatch 80% Ravens from the fans. No, sorry, 80% Ravens from the – 80% Ravens from the fans, 63% Ravens from the experts so far.
You have the Browns win straight up?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I think they're going to come – if you look at the 4 games they played, they had the tie against Pittsburgh. Yeah. They lost in overtime to the Saints. They lost by 3 points to the Raiders. I mean, they're in every game. This is not the old Browns. I mean, I don't know if they can win because, like you said, I agree with you. I think I wasn't sure what the Ravens were in the beginning of the season. They're better than I thought. I agree with you on that. They're a good team. But this is, I mean, I think this is when we're going to know if the Browns are going to be, maybe a 6 or 7 win team or a 4 or 5 win team. This week might tell us something. So
I wonder when the last time the Browns won a home game. Actually, they won. Well, I guess they won a home game against the Jets.
But, the Jets, that's right.
I wonder when the last time they won a home game on a Sunday was. So we have to go back.
They played the Chargers 2 years. The year they went 1-15, they beat the Chargers at home.
That was at home. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Dolphins, Bengals. Bengals favored by 6. Over under 49.5. Joe Mixon expected back for the Bengals. Dolphins are down some defensive players. Starting corner Bobby McCain, knee injury, out for a couple of weeks, I think. So they've been, they lost some defensive linemen a couple of weeks ago. They lost a corner. They got lit up by the Patriots. I mean, when they were 3-0, you went, oh, they played some bad teams, but they had built up a margin for error, but the Patriots really torched them. What do you think happens here? I guess it depends on, and we've talked about you have probably different kind of insight to the Bengals because you covered them. Are they, how good are they?
I guess they're pretty good. Andy Dalton, what he did last week to beat the Falcons in that final drive, really coming up big he had to convert a couple of 4th downs. That kind of picture-perfect pass to A.J. Green to win it for them. I have a hard time. I mean, I talked a little bit about this last week. I have a hard time looking at the Bengals and saying, yeah, this is a team that's going to be really good, and it's a team that's going to be one of the best teams in the AFC and maybe have a chance to do some things in January in the playoffs. But beating the Falcons last week, I think, was really a big thing for them. They have to follow it up this week because this is an eminently winnable game for Cincinnati. I mean, I think you talked about it a little bit. Miami was exposed, I think, last week versus the Patriots. I don't think that surprised a lot of people. I mean, I think that we kind of were like, oh, I wonder if they could actually win in New England, and then it clearly became apparent that they couldn't. And I don't think that was a big shock. But
right, but if they lost 24-14, you would have said, oh, okay, yeah, maybe they're legit. And now you go, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't. It's yeah. I mean, one game doesn't a season make, but I mean, that wasn't a good. That was obviously was a bad loss for them. And I think they have the ability to win in Cincinnati, but going on the road 2 weeks in a row, Cincinnati isn't always the easiest place to play. And I think getting Joe Mixon back is a huge thing for Cincinnati. I mean, Gio Bernard's been pretty good in his absence, but obviously Mixon gives him a whole different dimension and makes him more dangerous on offense. And another thing too, I'm not sure if he's going to play, but Vontaze Burfict being back for Cincinnati.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back, right?
Yeah, he's I don't know how much he's going to play, but a real wild card for good and for bad on defense. But he makes things difficult for the opposing offense. So getting him back, even if it's for a limited time, 15, 20 plays or something like that, that's a game changer, I think, also for Cincinnati on defense. All
right, so you and I both have Dolphins with the spread getting 6, Bengals straight up. We talk about every Thursday how I'm honest about the fact, watch my picks because and I'll tell you on this show, if there's a pick I could switch, this is a pick I could switch over the weekend. Right now I have Dolphins getting 6. I don't feel great about it.
No, I don't either. The more we talk about it, the less I like the pick.
Should we switch now? Should we both switch now?
Sean, can you switch for us? I don't like the pick.
What do we got here? Hold on. Let me check the numbers. Right now, we have 65% Bengals from the experts. And 65% Bengals from the fans. 68% Dolphins from the experts.
Leave them. Leave it then. Leave it.
So we should leave it because the expert peer pressure, basically? I don't know.
I think so.
I might switch this, folks. I just don't lock in this Dolphins with the spread pick for me. And if you're picking, only if you're not picking the entire slate, just I don't know what to do with this one. So I would advise you to avoid. Jags Chiefs. This is a good game. I like this one a lot. Chiefs at home, favored by 3 over the Jags. Over under 49. Leonard Fournette out for the Jaguars. We don't know when he's going to. That guy can't stay on the field. This is an issue. By the way, the over under in this one started at 51.5. Now it's 49. That's the Jags effect. And I think that's the effect of Monday night showing that Mahomes wasn't necessarily going to light up everybody.
Right.
So Sammy Watkins back at practice. He had a hamstring injury, but it sounds like he's looking okay. I just hate giving points to the Jaguars. I think I love them. And I know they're not going to win every week. And right now they're in a road spot against a good team without their lead running back. But I just I hate giving them points. I think they're one of the best 4 or 5 teams in the league. And I'm still not convinced. I don't want to say I'm not convinced that the Chiefs are, because the Chiefs are good. Their defense still is terrible.
Yeah.
I like the Jags here.
I do too. This was my fun game of the week in the Pickwatch column. The league's best offense in Kansas City versus the league's best defense in Jacksonville. And on the other side of the ball, Kansas City's defense, like you talked about, is terrible, and Jacksonville's offense is missing their best piece in Fournette. So there's a lot of storylines here to look at and to kind of be excited about. And I think a lot of, I'd say every week that so much of what I pick and how I pick, kind of revolves around the quarterbacks, because they're such a huge in the game. But Blake Bortles has been pretty good this year, and obviously I think if you're going Bortles versus Mahomes in a shootout, that's not you wouldn't be picking the Jacksonville necessarily in that case. But I think Kansas. I don't think Kansas City was exposed last week, because I think they're a really good offense, but Jacksonville can take some pointers from how Jacksonville can take some pointers. Like, look at the film and see how that defense performed against Kansas City, and and Jacksonville's defense is really good, and I think it's going to be a tough one for Mahomes.
All right.
I don't know. Going on the road to Kansas City historically is one of the tougher places to play in the league.
Right.
But the way Jacksonville has their swagger, or what they've been like the last 2 years, is I like them, man. I think they're a good team, and I'm not sure it matters a whole lot whether they're playing on the road or playing at home.
Okay. So we're both going Jags here. Right now we've got experts 74% Jags, fans 62% Chiefs. So the experts do not believe in the Chiefs completely. And
it's still I think people are waiting for Mahomes to fall back to earth a little bit. He did a little bit last week, although the comeback he made in the fourth quarter against the Broncos was really impressive. So I think there's maybe some of that. Like, this guy can't be this good all season long. He's only a second-year guy. He's only played how many games has he played?
He's played 5 games now.
He played a little bit last year, right?
Played 1 game. He had 1 start.
Yeah. So I think we're still waiting a little bit to see if he comes back to earth, and maybe the fans feel kind of have a different way of looking at it.
Right.
Because, sports writers are jaded by, they're jaded, and fans are jaded too, probably. But
yeah, but fans are more likely to believe in something, and people who do what we do more like, yeah, I want to see it. I want proof. Yeah. We're cynical.
But it'll be a fun game. It's going to be a really interesting game to see how. I wish this was kind of a Sunday night or a Monday night game, just as kind of its own kind of impact.
I agree. By the way, I looked at the Facebook live comments. Sean said he's going to check my Browns picking and see if I picked the Browns more than anybody else. I can't wait to see this.
I like to see how they actually are against the spread.
Yeah, I would like to see that too. All right, Titans Bills. Titans favored by 3. Over/under is an anemic 39 because the Bills can't do anything. Titans lost Kenny Vaccaro, their safety, to an elbow injury. I don't know. The Bills are still bad.
Bills are terrible. Right.
The Titans are good. I like the Titans. I talked about this with Ryan on Tuesday. I like them. I picked them last week against the Eagles, and I turned out. I mean, it was a little. It played out differently than I thought, but the result worked. Mariota actually played well. I mean, I guess Titans. I mean, just because I for some reason I just look and I go, the spread's small enough. If this was a 7-point spread, I'd probably pick the Bills. But I mean, the Titans pretty much just have to win this one, and they're just pretty clearly a better team. So, right? Is there much more to it than that?
No, no. You look at Buffalo. Buffalo's awful.
Yeah.
So I don't know why you're struggling so much with this. Buffalo sucks.
I don't know. But maybe I'm thinking that it's a tough place to play, but it's not like it's December. So I don't know.
And they can't stop Josh Allen from getting sacked. I mean, he leads the league in getting sacked, and he didn't even play much in week 1, so he's had less snaps than most of their guys. And Titans 12 sacks, which is tied for 7th most in the league. A pretty good defensive line. Jarrell Casey's played well. I expect them to do some good things against that Bills offensive line. I think it's going to be, last week was really ugly. It was 22-0. Packers beating the Bills. I'm not sure. I don't know if the Titans can score 22 points, but it's going to be bad news for Buffalo, I think.
I mean, maybe I'm thinking it's a tough place to play because all those guys who body slam each other on tables out in the Bills Mafia tailgate.
They're not playing.
Yeah. All right.
It's not legal to do in football anyway.
We both got Titans. Right now, let's see, experts 63% Titans, fans 81% Titans. No one's buying the Bills at all on the fan side of things.
I wonder why so what's that? 37% of the experts think the Bills are gonna
Yeah.
3. Okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't convince myself. It's one of those games. I love the home dogs, and I tried to convince myself a little bit of how the Bills could pull it off, and I didn't see it. So, all right, Raiders, Chargers. Chargers are favored by 5.5. Over under 33.5. Okay, so I don't trust the Chargers at all, right? And the Niners almost beat them last week, which was, that was a mess for the Chargers. I keep every year I think the Chargers are going to be good, and then they just kind of, they trip and stumble and mess up and almost lose. But they're better than the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders almost had to win that one last week, unless to avoid becoming a complete disaster.
Yeah.
In this one, I don't know. I think I want to take the points. I like the Chargers. I just don't want to give the 5.5.
Yeah, no, I'm on board with you. I got the Chargers straight up and the Raiders with the +5.5. I'm in a confidence league every year, and San Diego. I always refer to them as San Diego. I just can't get that out of my head.
San Diego.
The Chargers were my number 15, so I was the most confident in the Chargers beating the
Niners.
49ers.
Yeah.
And they won by 2. I was right, but I shouldn't have been that confident in them. And the same thing last week in my Pickwatch column. They were my bet your mortgage on this game, or bet your life savings on this game, and they ended up winning. But I think what was it? It was like a 9.5 point spread, and they really didn't cover that. So, and they were playing against C.J. Beathard, a guy who we all think kind of stinks. So, yeah, it is hard to trust them. I don't know what you do with the Chargers. This is a tough game because if it was Raiders +3, I would have no problem taking the Chargers. But it's 5.5, and it's even at home. It's like, I don't know. It's not. They don't even have a home field advantage. Nobody shows up for those games anyway. So it's like
that's right. And the stadium holds 35,000 people. So
I don't know. This is one of those kind of blah games that you're like, and it's obviously important in the AFC West, and I don't think the Raiders are as bad as people think they are.
Okay.
I really don't, and I don't think it has much to do with John Gruden, but I don't know. I think Derek Carr is better than people give him credit for, and I think Derek Carr's getting a little bit of a raw deal from kind of the rumors that float around that Gruden doesn't like him and wants him gone. I don't know. I don't know. This game's a mess.
Yeah, I'm going Chargers straight up Raiders against spread, just like you. Again, this is another one I don't love. I'm going to do. By the way, Raiders lost their right tackle Donald Penn to a groin injury. He's out for the season.
Yeah, so that's a big. So now you got Brandon Parker, who's a 3rd-round draft pick. He steps in that role at right tackle. You got Colt Miller on the left side. He's also a rookie. So now Derek Carr has got 2 rookie tackles trying to protect him. That doesn't usually work out great. It's pretty rare that it happens in the first place.
I mean, fortunately, Bosa's not playing for the Chargers. Fortunately for the Raiders.
Yeah, but even that's true. But he hasn't been playing all year, so
right.
I don't like 2 rookie tackles on either side. I mean, that's not a great thing.
Right. We've got experts 53% Raiders so far, fans 56% Chargers. So it's not too far off. Slightly.
The experts and the fans are way, way off this week. Huh?
Really, right? Really, really, really off. I agree. All right, Rams, Seahawks. Rams favored by 7 at Seattle, over under 50.5. The word trap can often be such a lazy cliche thing. But I mean, the Seahawks that's a good home field advantage.
Yeah.
They're not a terrible team. Again, this is under I look and I go, do the Rams have to lose somewhere? Now, I don't necessarily think they do. I was actually talking last week that I wanted to find what odds I could get on the Rams going undefeated because I just think they're fantastic. But if there's a trap game, is this it? Is this a tough spot for them to be walking into where they got a target on their back and they got a divisional rival here?
If you're talking about trap game as in like the team's not going to be focused or the team's going to be looking ahead, I don't see that because like you said, you go on the road against a tough Seattle home field advantage. Those fans are going to be going crazy. So I don't think it's going to be a matter of they're not going to be focused. I don't think that's going to be the case. As far as them going undefeated, it is hard to find a weakness. I think with the Rams at this point, they're really good on both sides of the ball.
Yeah,
but they got the Packers. They got the Broncos. They're on the road against the Broncos. I think next week.
Okay.
Packers in week 8. Also, they have the Saints, they have the Chiefs, they have the Eagles this year. So I'm not buying they're going to go undefeated. I don't think that's going to happen this week. I think they're too much for Seattle. I don't think Seattle's very good at all.
Right.
So it's, even though they're going to have a little bit of that home field advantage, I like the Rams. I like them at -7. I think if it was -10, I'd consider maybe going Seattle. But if it's single digits, I'm going LA.
Yeah, I did it too. Giving 7 in Seattle seems like a lot. But again, I think you and I've talked to the previous year, and this is me falling into the trap. I've been saying for the first 3 weeks, these are not the previous year Seahawks. And then I'm falling into it this week going, oh, but it's the Seahawks in Seattle. And they're getting 7 points.
Same thing with the Patriots. I mean, they see that every week. And it's like, well, how could I pick against the Patriots every week,
We've got experts, 84% Rams, and fans, 79% Rams. So there's a high degree of confidence from everybody.
I wonder if Earl Thomas was playing. I wonder if they would be different. I wonder if he'd feel differently.
It's a good question.
Because, I mean, that's obviously a great player, tied for the league in interceptions. He's obviously not going to keep that title, but and an emotional leader, kind of that, the last guy from the boom defense. I wonder if just emotionally, if he was still playing, I wonder if we feel differently.
Yep. Vikings, Eagles. Eagles favored by 3 at home, over under 45.5. So the Vikings in their first 5 games, I think coming into the season, you could have reasonably argued that the 4 best teams in the NFC were the Eagles, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Packers. Okay. The Vikings have those other 3 on the road in their first 5 weeks. They played at LA, they played at Green Bay, and they're playing at Philly. And I think that if we look at the Vikings record and we worry about them, we got to take that into account. I mean, that's a rough gauntlet to start the season, don't you think?
Yeah. Plus, you got to play Buffalo, so that's always going to be a tough game too. Right?
They lost to Josh Allen of all those people.
No, you're right. It's a tough schedule. It's that's what happens when you're a good team. The year before, you got to play a tougher schedule.
Yep.
The tie was difficult, and I think it mentally maybe may have been a little bit of draining. I don't know. I think so much of it is about the defense with the Vikings, but the offense has been solid. I mean, Kirk Cousins has been pretty good. He's got a lot of weapons around him. Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen are good weapons for him. Plus, I think what really helps Minnesota this week is they have that 10-day rest. Playing the Thursday night game last week, get themselves a little bit healthier, get themselves a little more rested. Philly is struggling a little bit. I like the Vikings here. I think they're going to win straight up.
Me too. I mean, Dalvin Cook might be on a little bit of a limited snap count if he plays, so we got to watch that. The only other injury Trey Waynes, the Vikings corner, concussion protocol, didn't practice Wednesday. We're doing this, if you're watching live, but it's Thursday, 11:16 right now, Eastern. So I don't know the status of Trey Waynes right now, the latest. The Eagles are just not playing well. Jason Peters, he's got quad issue, so that could – but the Eagles' offensive line has struggled. The Eagles in general have struggled. They have not been – not Super Bowl hangover. I don't want to get into that stuff. But they haven't been the same. And I look at this, and the Vikings, the way they've started, the Vikings got to get on it. I mean, this is a team that basically came into the season saying, hey, quarterback was the last piece. Now we're a Super Bowl contender. And they're 1-2-1. And they got to get this game. I want to say must win, but it's pretty close. And the Eagles, the way the Eagles been struggling, when I looked at the slate for this week, this was one of the easier calls for me. I'm going with the Vikings.
No, and you've talked about the desperation games, and certainly this will qualify for Minnesota. You don't want to be 1-3-1 with Chicago potentially being Chicago being 3-1 and having to really kind of catch up there. It's the one thing that the Eagles have done good is the run again, the defense against the run. So I'm not sure how much the Dalvin Cook thing really matters. Dalvin Cook's going to have to be really, really good for it to matter. So I think a lot of it is going to fall on Kirk Cousins. As for the Eagles, I mean, getting Alshon Jeffrey back was big last week. 8 catches, 105 yards, a touchdown.
Yep.
But you're right. I mean, their offensive line is not protecting Carson Wentz. 9 sacks in the last 2 games. The Vikings, we know, should be able to rush the passer. I think it's going to be tough for the Eagles. And like I said, I think that 10-day stretch that the Minnesota gets, I think it's going to be a big factor, especially them going on the road. I like the Vikings.
Yep, I'm with you. Okay, we've got experts here, 53% Eagles, fans, 56% Eagles. So you know what? You're all wrong, everybody.
It's funny. It's like I guess the tide has turned a little bit as far as how people see the Vikings. Like you said, coming in the year, they're one of the favorites to win the NFC. Now it's like, and Eagles this can be a tough game, but now it's like, I wonder how much the loss of Buffalo really made people kind of rethink that. I think that was a really bad loss, and I think it told us more about Minnesota than did about Buffalo in that game.
I think you're right. I mean, and that was just it was such a fluky game. So they lost to the Rams by a touchdown. No shame in that.
Maybe it was a fluky game, but maybe that told us a little bit about Minnesota too.
Right. But you look at the other two games, the tie, you go, all right, they tied at Green Bay. That's, acceptable.
Yeah.
They lost by a touchdown at the Rams. I mean, fair. It's not like you say, oh, they stink because they did. I mean, the Rams are really good. And it was a road game. So I don't know. Yeah, I like the Vikings. I'm still in on the Vikings. They have my faith that as bad as that Bills game was, my faith has not been shaken there. I think they can still. I still think the Rams are better, but I think they're probably the second best team in the conference, or they will be.
Yep.
Cardinals Niners. Niners by 4. Over under 41. Marquise Goodwin. We've got to see what his status is. I think it was a hammy. I forget if it was a hammy or not. Some injury that he was a little shaky. The Niners, I think, showed last week that they were more than just Jimmy Garoppolo. I think before last week, when I looked at them, I said, I don't think they're going to roll over and die because I want to pick in the Chargers anyway. I don't think they're going to roll over. I think they're just a better overall team than maybe we think. And when I saw that game, I went, I think I was right about them, that they're not going to be good, but they're going to be competitive.
Yeah, and it depends. I mean, it really depends on CJ Beathard and what I know it's kind of a record that kind of plays the same thing over and over again, but so much of it is a quarterback thing. And he played well last week, 23-37, 298 yards, a couple touchdowns, a couple picks, but hey, that's they'll take that every time from Beathard if you can play like that. What's kind of a little disconcerting is they let the Chargers score 20 straight points. And yeah, they played well enough to come back and take a lead in the fourth quarter. The 49ers did, but then again, they lose the lead and lose lead late. And it's a team that I think it's kind of what you just characterize them as a team that's okay, but a team that's not going to win and too many games. And I think letting the Chargers, when they could have won the game, that would have been a big win for them. And they just didn't allow it to happen.
Right.
I don't know. We've talked a lot about Cardinals too, and how bad they are. So this is certainly a game where the 49ers probably should get a win.
Yeah, and and Josh Rosen last week, there were flashes, there were things to like. I mean, first game, he was going to struggle. Who they play last week? Who the Cardinals play? Seahawks?
Oh God,
I don't know. All right, I think they did. So Josh Rosen was okay.
The Seahawks, they were
statistically he wasn't great, but there were things to like. Fitz, by the way, hamstring, sounds like he's day-to-day. I think he's going to play, but he might be a little gimpy. I look at this one, and I don't know why the Niners are only favored by 4 at home because of how bad the Cardinals have been. Like, this spread puzzles me.
CJ Beathard, man.
I know. I think Kyle Shanahan makes up for some of that, though.
I think we're still waiting. I still think we're waiting for Arizona to not be as bad as they've been.
Right.
I think we're all still waiting for that. David Johnson played well last week, or he played as well as he's played at all. Yeah, 71 yards and a touchdown. It was like I was doing some research, and it's like it just made me laugh that one of the pros for this game, the pros and the cons. The pro was, hey, the Cardinals are coming off a season high points, and it was 17 points they scored. Season high.
Right.
But they scored 0 and they scored 8 or whatever they've scored. So hey, maybe they're getting back on the right track, and I think David Johnson is a key. And if he can get going, and you saw some signs that was like finally he's that guy that you would feel happy to take number 1 overall in your fantasy draft, that he can finally kind of start putting some things together. That's going to make things a lot easier for Arizona, I think, and that's going to make Josh Rosen a better quarterback and give him a little bit easier time. I kind of look at this and I'm like, why did I pick the Cardinals here? Because I did. I picked the Cardinals straight up, and I pick them at +4. I guess I had no faith in the 49ers and CJ Beathard.
You hate CJ Beathard. That's why you picked the Cardinals.
I guess so.
All right. We've gotten this game. Experts, 79% Cardinals. Fans 51% Niners. That's a big disparity. That might be the biggest one we have.
What's the straight up percentage?
Hold please. Let's see. The straight up percentage is, let's see how fast we can load. It's my computer. It's not that. So the expert straight up.
Yeah.
Expert straight up is right now. It is 63% Niners.
And most of them, every expert's picking the Cardinals at +4 or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's
79%. That's a lot.
Yeah.
So, all right. Cowboys Texans Sunday night. Texans by 3 at Houston. Over under 45. The Cowboys have a one-man offense, man. I mean, that is it. There's nothing happening. I know Dak was a little better last week, but no one's afraid of him. The receivers are not good. Over the first 4 weeks, I kept waiting. I do a lot of fantasy work too, and you keep going. Well, some receiver's gonna have to step up. Doesn't look like it. It's just there's not there. And Gallup was a little better last week, but I don't know. I mean, the Texans. I don't think they're a good team either. But they had a nice win in Indy. I mean, Deshaun Watson. He's slowly convincing me. I was a skeptic coming into this season that he was as good as people thought, that he might be sort of a better fantasy than reality quarterback. And I think he still does. I mean, that decision he made against the Titans in week 1 at the end of the game when he ran around and ran out the clock was terrible. But he figures it out, he finds a way. And he's starting to convince me more. And I look at this game and I go, all right, well, the Texans are down another corner, but against Dallas, I mean, not who cares, but it's not like they can hurt them that much.
Sure.
At home, I just don't like the Cowboys, and I think Watson's sort of he puts it over for me. I'm going to take the Texans.
Yeah, I also like the Did I put the Texans?
You did.
Yeah, I don't like. Yeah, you take Ezekiel out of the game, and that's it. That's
right.
What the Cowboys can turn to anybody else. I like what J.J. Watt's been doing. He's been playing really well. He's
getting better all the time, right?
He's got 5 sacks already this year.
Yeah.
And he had 0 going into week 3, right? So he's had 5 sacks in the past 2 weeks. Is that right?
Something like that.
I think that's right. So there, the Texans still have some work to do on that defense, but they seem to be slowly kind of getting. And on the kind of the converse, what we talked about way earlier in the show with Frank Reich and going for the 4th and 5 or the 4th and 4, whatever, the Texans take advantage of it, and maybe they should have, but the fact that they could turn the ball over on downs, go down there and score a quick field goal to win the game in overtime was a big thing for them. I like the Texans at home, and mostly because I don't like the Cowboys.
And 78% experts have the Texans. 63% fans have the Texans because all those bandwagon America's team people picking the Cowboys. That's why.
Yeah, that's going to be great for the odds makers. Knowing there's a segment of population that's going to put their money on Dallas no matter what, right? That's going to be a great thing.
Right, I agree. Yeah, I know you play around, you plan accordingly, I guess. Redskins Saints in New Orleans on Monday night. Saints favored by 6.5. Over under 53. Saints get Mark Ingram back from suspension. Supposedly he met them at the airport Sunday night. He was pretty excited.
It's like Jameis Winston texting, "Hey guys, remember me? I'm still here."
Yeah. The Redskins, I got to check on Trent Williams, their left tackle. He had knee surgery a couple of weeks ago, but they thought it was going to be one of those really fast recovery things. I just don't know yet if he's going to be ready for this week. The Redskins actually, they've been a weird team so far because they won easy in Arizona. And they've confused me because I think I picked them wrong every week. They went easy in Arizona, and they came home and they lost to the Colts, right? Yeah. And then they beat the Packers. What are these guys? I don't know what they are. Do you?
Nope, I don't. And they're leading that division. So it's a very weird division. Going to New Orleans, I took the Saints here, but I'm not. It's 6.5. It really has caused me to kind of waver back and forth. Redskins have one of the best defenses in the league, and they're coming off a bye with an extra day for the Monday night game.
Right.
So I don't know. You kind of look at Washington and say, okay, they could probably stick with the Saints. I don't think they're going to win. They could keep it within a touchdown. I don't know. I think getting Mark Ingram back is big. Combine him with Kamara. The last 2 years, Ingram's averaging like 5 yards a carry. So those two together are a really good combination. Drew Brees obviously is still playing at an elite level. It's gonna be interesting to see with the Redskins net defense if they can kind of slow down the Saints offense.
Yeah, I think the Saints. I've been waiting for the Saints defense to get better, and I know that the Giants were sort of an easy spot for them in that regard, but they look pretty good. I mean, after the first drive, they didn't give the Giants much of anything, and I wonder that if that defense is gonna start coming around to at least partway back to where it was last year. So yeah, I'm gonna take the Saints and give the 6.5. Right now, we've got the 68% of the experts are going with the Saints. 65% of the fans are going with the Saints. So there's a pretty broad agreement there. And you and I we're both given the points as of right now, right?
Yep.
All right. That's that for Saints Redskins. That's it for the Week 5 slate. The most popular one for the experts is we get 79% Cardinals. Sorry, 84% Rams. 79 Cardinals, 78 Texans. And for the fans, we got an 81% here, right? 81% Titans, 80% Ravens, 79% Rams. The Rams, if you want to be contrarian this week, the Seahawks is the way to go. I mean, that's it. That's just if you want to differentiate yourself from the pack, it certainly looks at this point like the Seahawks are the way to go. Josh, what else you got going on?
The International Boxing Hall of Fame bout has been released. I haven't gotten mine in the mail yet. I'm a voter. I'm looking forward to getting that and kind of pouring over some old-time boxing stats and some old-time boxing fights and to see who I'm going to select to put into the Boxing Hall of Fame for 2019. I'm looking forward to that.
Who's your all-time favorite boxer?
My all-time favorite boxer is Arturo Gatti. To watch. I think the best fight I've ever seen is Roy Jones Jr. and I love watching him. But Arturo Gatti, rest in peace, was so much fun to watch. And he basically with the brain situation, he gave his life for the sport really. And I think that watching his fights are just tremendous. I wish I was a voter at the time. I wish I would have voted him in. But it'll be interesting to see this year. It's funny, every year it's not just who's on the ballot. It's like who didn't even make the ballot so we could vote on. There's a few boxers that are maybe Hall of Fame worthy that didn't even make the ballot. So it's kind of a weird thing. But excited to vote. This will be my second year voting. Excited to do it.
Nice, awesome. I can't wait. So when are you gonna vote? When are you gonna do your ballot?
The ballots come out the first part of October. I think they'll probably do it at the end of October. So I'll write something about it and tell you about it then. I'm excited.
We're gonna have to chat about it definitely.
Yeah.
All right.
Because people want to know, like Darius Michalowski, do I think that he's a Hall of Famer? NFL Pickwatch fans want to know about that. So I'm happy to give my
exactly right. Show our diversity of we could do. I mean, if we're going to do analytics, we got to get into boxing at some point, right?
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, folks. Find us on Twitter. I'm at Halpin37. He is at Josh Katzowitz, and the main account is at Pickwatch. You can find it anytime. Also, watch us on Facebook and check out our YouTube channel. Subscribe on YouTube because we will have this show up on YouTube later on Thursday, right? And then what we're going to do, in addition to the entire show, we clip up game by game so that if you just want to watch the Cowboys-Texans discussion for, let's say, 3 minutes or whatever it was, you can do that. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's a great way to just, if you're not sure how we think about a specific game, you can go there. It's a pretty good resource for you, so you're going to go check it out. Also, so the weekly, we do this every Thursday. Ryan Fowler and I are every Tuesday morning. And Sunday, 11:45 Eastern, I'll do a Facebook Live chat going over the final inactives, injury reports, all that stuff. So please check that out. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. Good luck with your picks in week 4. I will see you again here Sunday morning. Josh and I will be back here next Thursday. Well, like I said, but for Josh Katzowitz, I'm John Halpin. Thanks for watching.